Hello, everyone. I know most of you in here, there's a few faces that don't, but I'm Shayna, and I'm right over there. Some of you probably have already come over there and seen me this semester. What I have for you guys is a checklist for financial aid, and then the PowerPoint presentation is the other packet that's just going to tell you in case I go too fast, or you can look along as I go. But the checklist is just so you know you've gotten everything done before classes start. You know, this is kind of like just a guideline. This year it's changed where you can now apply for FAFSA on October 1st. So if you're planning to come 2017-18 school year, you can go ahead and apply now. And when we get through the slides, you guys will see why it's changed and what information you need for that. But first of all, what is FAFSA? You probably hear that a lot around campus. Have you applied for FAFSA? Have you seen Financial Aid Office yet? FAFSA is free application for federal student aid. And all it is it takes a snapshot of your financial situation throughout the year. And this will be from 2015. The FAFSA determines your EFC, which stands for your expected family contribution, and that just measures your family strength. When you hear expected family contribution, you probably think, okay, I'm expected to pay this amount, but that's not quite what it means. It just is a guideline for us to know how much you're eligible for. So whenever you complete your FAFSA, sometimes we need documents, sometimes we don't, and you'll usually find out through an email, and you'll get a letter in the mail saying we need household verification form or low income verification, something like that. And sometimes you won't receive that, but the best practice is once you fill out your FAFSA online is give us a call a week later. That just makes sure that you're good to go. Sometimes the address that you put in might not be right. You might have had a typo or something and we don't get the letter to you. So it usually takes a week that transmits out, then they transmit it to our school. And there are some things that happen. Sometimes you don't put James Front in on your FAFSA and then we don't get it at all. So like I said, just call us a week after you submit it just to make sure that we have everything. The next slide is how much aid do I receive? We talked about EFC. That is how we determine a lot of how much aid you'll receive. We use that to prepare your aid. And EFC is usually your family contribution minus the cost of attendance, and then that's how much your aid will be, whether it be through Pell Grant or state grants or whatever it is you qualify for. If your financial need changes, and that's something that we're probably expecting to see a lot this year because we're going to be going by your 2015 information. Like I said, that changed a little bit. That's the first time we're going 2 years of prior year. So if you lost your job in 2016, but you had a good job in 2015, you're still going to put your 2015 information down. But just let us know, hey, something's changed. And we have procedures to follow to get your situation for how it is at that moment. So some examples will be if you lost your job, or if you had unusual medical expenses, a drastic change in home income that's beyond your control or your parents' control. Some of you I know might live with your parents. So even if they lose a job, just let us know. When do I receive aid? So a lot of you here know check release dates, probably what you guys think about when you think about when do I receive aid. Check release dates are determined by our office. We usually have a calendar made before the semester even starts, so we know what date that's going to be. Sometimes they change, and they're different on if you're taking developmental courses. Your dates might be a little bit different, but we usually have at least 3 dates to go by. Any financial aid you're eligible for to receive will be paid through your school. Your school will use the aid to pay tuition, fees, or any charges made in the bookstore or wherever first. And then anything that's remaining will be refunded to you on these dates that are specified by the office. If you're eligible for a federal Pell Grant, you can receive it for only one school year for the same period of enrollment. So most of you, have any of you in here, you all receive financial aid? Yeah. So you've already received your first refund. If you had any left or you've already received your aid, you don't have to reapply until next fall. Your spring aid is already handled, so you only do it once a year. So you're eligible for your Pell Grant or any aid that you receive for one school year. If you're taking classes simultaneously, like if you need to take some from another school to finish your major, or maybe James Brunt doesn't offer it the same semester that you need, then we still will handle that, but it's a little bit more complicated, I think, if you go to a different school, but we still work it out. What you'll have to do is get information from permission from the registrar right here in admissions, and then they will give you a paper for you to take to the school that you want to go to. If you're taking one class there or two classes, as long as James Brunt is your home school, then you can take this paper to that other school. And what they'll do is they'll fill out showing that you've registered there. You'll have to pay out of pocket at that school, but once you bring it back to James Brunt and we verify that your credits are full-time or half-time or whichever time, then you'll be reimbursed for what you paid out of pocket there. So that'll take a little bit of time, but you can still do it that way. You'll just have to bring the paper showing that you registered at the other school and the receipt showing that you paid. Your refund, some of you might know that it might be different if you're enrolled in a developmental class, DMA or DRE, or any kind of second session classes. Some English classes start later. You'll receive your financial aid once these classes have started. So that's why we have a couple of different check release dates. But if you do not complete at least 60% of the semester and you drop all of your classes, you will owe some of your financial aid refund back to the school and or the Department of Education. So how do I know I've been awarded? Everybody in here knows how to log on to WebAdvisor? Okay, good. So you can view your award letter at any time of the day on WebAdvisor. If you want to know after you've filled out your FAFSA, if you've been awarded, you can always look on there. If you have problems logging into WebAdvisor, there's a number right here you can call at the help desk, and they can help you get on there. The financial aid office is not allowed to disclose any information over the phone. That being, we don't really know for sure who we're talking to. So it's better for you that we don't disclose that information over the phone. You can come see us or log on to your WebAdvisor. If you call and ask and say, how much is my refund going to be? I'm probably going to say, have you looked at WebAdvisor? But it's on there. I believe it's under, on WebAdvisor it will say view award by term. And make sure you do by term, because if you look at it by year, you'll see a big, huge number. And you think, oh, I'm getting all that right now. But no, that's for the whole year. If you look at it by term, then you can see what you're going to get for that semester. So you use WebAdvisor. You also get a student email, or an email in your student email telling you that you've been awarded, but it won't tell you the amount. You just have to look on WebAdvisor. How do I keep my financial aid? In order to continue receiving financial aid, you must keep at least a 2.0 GPA and have at least 67% completion rate. What does that mean? That means you should complete all of your classes, make at least a C or better, and don't make a habit of withdrawing from classes. every time you withdraw from a class, it affects your completion rate. And a lot of people forget about that, you know, as long as their GPA is good, they think I'm good with financial aid. But we go by GPA and completion rate. So just, it's okay, I know sometimes circumstances happen, you have to drop a class, but just try not to drop too many or a whole bunch at one time. FAFSA changes for 2017-18. This is talking about the prior years that I was telling you about. On September 14th, September 14, 2015, President Obama announced significant changes to the free application for federal student aid process that will impact millions of students. The 2016-17 FAFSA will be the final FAFSA to launch on January 1st, beginning with the 2017-18 application. The FAFSA will be available to students and families October 1st of the previous year. This means students who need to complete the 2017-18 FAFSA will be able to access and submit the form anytime from October 2016 through June 30th, 2018. In addition to changing the launch date cycle, we will also change the requirements for reporting income. Currently, FAFSA applicants are required to provide income information for the prior year, but now they're going to have to use the prior is what we call it. Just meaning you're wanting to file for 2017-18, use your 2015 taxes.
So basically, the same taxes we used to file for this year, we'll use them again.
That's correct.
Okay.
So this year should be easy for those of y'all that have already applied. When you apply for the 18-19 school year, you're going to be using 16's taxes.
Can you still use the retrieval button when you're doing that? So it would just take your information that you had put in for this year and just plug it into the 17-18 application?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And there are some students that have had to bring in a tax return transcript. Sometimes the data retrieval tool doesn't work. And if that's the case and you have to do it again, the good news is we already have it. So we can use that because, you know, that takes about 10 days to come in. So this year should be kind of simple. The only issues we see changing is your situation could change from 2016 from 15. So, but other than that, that's the major change. It shows you down here this on the bottom slide the key dates while we're transitioning. It tells you which information is needed for that year. So if you're going to attend the 2017-2018 school year, you can apply October 1st, which was last month, and you'll use 2015's taxes.
So we can go ahead and apply now.
Yep, you sure can.
And like with the notes now, okay, because I know I'm still using taxes. Is it like a certain age limit where that cuts off at?
Yes, 24.
24, okay. So like if her finance, like her job situation changed, would I have to add that in there?
Yes,
Okay.
if she were to lose her job or she got a job where she made more,
Right.
then you would just add that in. You'd have to just let us know. We would either
Okay.
need a copy of her W-2s from 2016
Okay,
whenever she gets them.
right.
But if you decide to file today, then we would just need check stub information.
Okay.
So
I have another question. Is it true that if the earlier you complete your FAFSA, you may be eligible to receive state grants? Is that, and like that state money gives out quickly, so that it'd be in your advantage to get it done as soon as possible because there may be extra money there that you could possibly get?
that would be so for the federal SEOG. The state grants usually, they have those reserved for people that don't qualify for Pell or in that like the state grants
Okay.
for that. Now there's Pell grant and then there's some other federal grants that you pair up with Pell if the student disqualifies for them. and those are limited.
But to know that, you would have to complete a FAFSA first. Is that right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, the sooner you get your FAFSA completed, they have told us that, because see, we thought about, okay, we get all these FAFSAs completed, but is the money gonna be there to award them yet? Because that usually doesn't come until January. But, we should be able to start doing the verification process earlier, which means the time frame should cut down a lot for registration. Because we have a lot of students that come in that still haven't finished their verification process. So they can't get aid, but they're ready to register for classes. So this helps you to get that over with, this checklist right here, over with before registration, and you have a lot more time to do it. So that helps in that way, but the sooner you get your FAFSA done, you know, then the easier it will be as you transition to registration and all of those things. And also, even if you don't think you're qualified, apply anyway, because you never know. And also, like the state grants, you might not qualify for Pell, but you qualify for state grants. And you just don't know. The application's free, and they don't keep any of your information. I mean, it isn't in depth, but it's just to find out what your financial situation is. And also, and this is a side note for scholarships that are federal here, in order to qualify for any of them, you have to have a FAFSA on file. So even if you don't qualify for any Pell or state grants, you can still get a scholarship. So that's something else to think about. Anybody have any questions? Our information is on the last slide if you want to call us or ask us anything. We're in there all day. We are here.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.